Imagine this: in 1998, a 14-year-old girl vanishes in Rockhampton, Australia. Police are convinced she's fallen victim to a notorious serial killer. Her heartbroken family even holds a memorial service to say their final goodbyes. But 5 years later, in a twist that no one saw coming, Natasha Ryan reappears, alive and well. This is the shocking true story of one of Australia's most bizarre and confounding missing person cases. How did a girl presumed dead hide in plain sight for half a decade? Let's unravel the mystery. On a seemingly ordinary morning in August 1998, 14-year-old Natasha Ryan was dropped off for school in Rockhampton, Queensland. Her mother watched her walk toward the school gates, never imagining it would be the last time she'd see her for years. When Natasha didn't return home that afternoon, a frantic search began. But Natasha wasn't kidnapped by a stranger. She had a secret plan. She was running away to be with her 21-year-old boyfriend, Scott Black. Together, they vanished. At first, authorities treated her case as a typical teenage runaway. It was a plausible theory, but as the weeks turned into months with no word, a far more sinister possibility began to emerge. Rockhampton, a normally quiet city, was in the grip of fear. Other women in the area had started disappearing under mysterious and violent circumstances. The disappearances of Julie Turner, Beverly Lego, and Sylvia Benedetti had already sent a chill through the community. Police began to suspect that Natasha Ryan hadn't run away at all, but had instead become the latest victim of a predator lurking in their midst. Her case was no longer about a rebellious teen. It was now linked to a potential serial killer. The search for Natasha took on a desperate, chilling new urgency. By the late 1990s, the name on everyone's lips in Rockhampton was Leonard John Fraser. This man, a convicted predator with a violent history, became the prime suspect in the string of disappearances plaguing the region. When Fraser was finally arrested, the case took a horrifying turn. During his interrogation, he made a shocking confession. He claimed he had abducted and murdered Natasha Ryan. For the police, it seemed to be the missing piece of the puzzle. They had their man, and sadly, they believed they finally had an answer to what happened to the 14-year-old girl. The news was devastating for Natasha's family. They had held on to a sliver of hope for years, but the confession shattered it completely. With no body ever found, they had to accept the word of a killer. In 2001, 3 years after she vanished, her family held a memorial service. Friends and family gathered to mourn the bright, young girl they believed was gone forever. They laid a plaque in her memory, a permanent testament to their grief. The entire community mourned with them, convinced that Natasha Ryan was another tragic victim of a monster. Little did they know, the truth was far stranger than anyone could ever imagine. Natasha wasn't dead. In fact, she was hiding just a few kilometers away, living a secret life. The story should have ended there, a tragic but closed chapter. But in 2003, during the murder trial of Leonard Fraser, everything was turned on its head. As prosecutors laid out their case against him, including the supposed murder of Natasha Ryan, police received an anonymous tip. The caller made an unbelievable claim: Natasha Ryan was alive. Skeptical, but obligated to follow the lead, investigators raided a house in North Rockhampton, the home of Scott Black, Natasha's old boyfriend. And there she was, hiding in a cupboard. They found Natasha, now 19 years old. For 5 years, she had been living in secret with Scott, just a few miles from her grieving family. She had never left Rockhampton. She had spent her teenage years in the shadows, her world confined to the 4 walls of Scott's house. She had hidden during the day, only coming out at night, sometimes venturing into public in disguise. She had watched news reports about her own disappearance, listened as her family pleaded for her return, and even saw coverage of her own memorial service, all while the entire country believed she was dead. The girl in the cupboard, as the media dubbed her, had returned from the dead, and the case of Leonard Fraser was about to be blown wide open in a packed courtroom. The revelation sent shockwaves across Australia. The courtroom was stunned into silence when the prosecutor dramatically announced that a key victim in the trial was, in fact, alive. Natasha Ryan's reappearance was a miracle for her family, but it was also a source of immense public confusion and anger. How could a teenage girl hide for so long, and why? The aftermath was complicated and messy. Scott Black, her boyfriend, was convicted of perjury for lying to police during the initial investigation and served a year in prison. Natasha herself faced intense public scrutiny. She was fined for causing a false police investigation. Many people criticized her for the years of unimaginable pain she put her family and community through. Others saw her as a young, impressionable girl who had been manipulated by an older man. Her story sparked a national debate about responsibility, grief, and the lines between a victim and a perpetrator of a hoax. Meanwhile, what about the serial killer? Leonard Fraser's credibility was questioned, but his confession to Natasha's murder was just one part of a larger, horrifying pattern. Despite the bizarre twist, he was still convicted for the murders of 3 other women and sentenced to life in prison, where he died in 2007. The man who claimed to have killed Natasha was indeed a killer, just not hers. Natasha and Scott later married and had children, attempting to build a normal life away from the media spotlight that had defined their youth. The Natasha Ryan case remains one of Australia's strangest and most haunting true crime stories. It's a baffling intersection of 2 separate, terrifying events: the real-life terror of a serial killer on the loose, and the unbelievable secret of a missing girl hiding just around the corner. Her story forces us to ask some unsettling questions. How far can a person go for what they believe is love? How does an entire community come together to mourn a person who isn't really gone? And perhaps most chillingly, it serves as a stark reminder that sometimes the biggest mysteries aren't in the dark woods or abandoned buildings, but hidden behind the closed doors of an ordinary suburban home. What other secrets are being kept right now, just out of sight? This was the incredible true story of Natasha Ryan, the girl who attended her own funeral and came back from the dead. What do you think about this unbelievable case? Let me know in the comments below. For more mind-bending true crime stories with twists you'll never see coming, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Thanks for watching.